It's showtime.
Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. This is episode 152, if you're keeping count. Beetlejuice is what we're going to talk about in this particular episode. And it is, I might say, probably the longest timeline that I've done, because I have a lot of affection for this particular training film. Easy for me to say, right? Use Mr. Lips and Mr. Tongue. It's kind of weird, but not like a presidential candidate weird. It's more like a cute afterlife kind of weird. So I like it. So anyway, let me bring up my able-bodied assistant so we can get to work on this so we don't go too late. And that is Major Hazzard and Master Sergeant Havoc.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's one of my favorite training films as well. I absolutely adore it. I've seen it like 100 times, at least. So I'm ready to go.
You know, it's up there with Mars Attacks, which is also a Tim Burton film. And what's the vampire thing that we just did not too long ago? Fright Night, the original.
Yep.
Which is a lot of fun. So, and a lot of people harken back to that movie when they saw it in the movie theaters and stuff. So, okay. With that said, let's get along with that timeline. It's about 180 slides. It's a Geffen Company release, as was Little Shop of Horrors. We get right into the Beetlejuice. His name is actually spelled Betelgeuse, which is Betelgeuse, really. But anyway, Beetlejuice. He pronounces it Beetlejuice. And we have that pan in across the little town there. I want to say Springfield, but that's not it. And they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. So they're eating the spiders. And we pan into what is the Maitland house, but it's actually a model. They say somewhere along the line they tricked us by switching to a model. And it's because Adam Maitland has created a model of the entire town. And Barbara, his lovely wife, played by Geena Davis, and that's Alec Baldwin, believe it or not. He's just a baby in this. Look at him. And I have that shirt, by the way. There's a scene where they meet Beetlejuice, and he gets that shirt on as well. It's to look more like Adam, and I've got that shirt. It's a flannel shirt. I'm not going to wear it for this show because it's just too damn hot.
You should have worn it. It would have been amazing. It could be your doppelganger.
I can go get it, but I'm not going to wear it for the show. It's just too hot.
Okay, all right.
But
we don't want you to have heat stroke or anything.
That's right. We all got that shirt somewhere in our closet.
I think so. It's just
that's a good point. Very good point.
There's a red black one that looks like a lumberjack, and then there's this one, and I think we both got it in our closets. Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, I got a haircut, and you should get a nice military cut too, there, Havoc.
I am retired. I ain't got to do squat.
I don't know about Hazzard. She's on assignment, I guess. Again.
Well, the thing about me is that I always keep my hair back out of my face so I can concentrate. But Roland likes a feminine woman, so I also can put my hair down for him when I need to. So I can do like a little bit of business and a little bit of like party.
Okay.
How's his show
going, by the way?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet. How's his show doing?
is
The,
doing absolutely marvelous. He's a big show, he's getting a lot of these flirtatious fans. I got to keep him in check. It's a whole deal, but he's very popular.
flirtatious fans. Oh, that
He's
sounds.
very popular because he's very passionate and charismatic, as you know, and he's got, but
Well,
that's just the part of Hollywood and I'm a supportive Hollywood woman. I'm going to support him.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, are you jealous of that there Titania?
She's not even at my level at all. She's not, there's no chemistry there at all. She's not even that talented. And honestly, I'll tell you off air, but I don't think she's long for the show. Roland sees right through all that. He's very intelligent.
Did you just say
Yeah.
Titania?
Well, what's her name now?
I don't know her name either. I can't even pronounce it. She's from one of these
I
other
don't watch the
countries.
show, but I think it's Anastasia, right?
She's a foreigner from like a foreign land. And honestly,
exactly. Yeah.
She's a foreigner from a foreign land.
We don't even know why she's in the country.
A stranger in a strange land.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
exactly. She probably has the same sexual mores, to be honest.
Anastasia, yeah. Sorry about that.
She's from somewhere out east.
Anastasia. That's the only reason I remember. She gets really bent out of shape when you say Anastasia.
But my question is, why is she in this country?
Or Titania.
Well, she can go down like the Titanic in my but anyways, moving along. She can go right down with the Mauritania and the Titanic and all of that.
Okay, this is a family member. I think she's a cousin. She's a realtor, and her name is Jane Butterfield, and she wants to sell this house. So she's like, "Oh, I found a buyer. They're very interested, and they want to live in this." And she doesn't sell Geena Davis, Barbara, I should say. And she tries to sell Adam. He's downstairs, and no, he just closes the shade on her. Not doing it. We like our house. So, and it's a nice house. It eventually becomes the creepy house down the street. But for now, it looks like a nice house. It's a nice big house at the end of the block.
Now, how come it didn't work out with Jeff Goldblum and Geena Davis? Because they were like married and then they got divorced, and now he's with like a subpar woman. So what happened?
Subpar? No. I heard that she was like a gymnast and she was like half his age. And,
she's no Geena Davis, okay? I'm just saying she's a nice girl, but she's no Geena Davis. Like, what happened?
A glass of water. She really is. She's yes, no, there's no doubt, and she's adorable in this.
Yeah, but
she's no contortionist.
She's bendy.
I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. That's the difference.
Evidently, the girl rocks his world in ways that we will never ever comprehend.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Right. We like them bendy women.
My guess is Hollywood. When actors get together, like an actress that plays in movies and an actor that plays in movies, when they get together, they never have any time together. They're always busy doing movies and stuff. So it was probably just a quick, hey, you're interesting. Hey, you're interesting. And then it's like, well, I never get to see you. That kind of thing. That's my guess.
Yep.
So I love this guy, by the way. He's a little barber in the town. And he's right next to the little shop there that has nobody waiting on anybody in the it's like a main store. And Adam goes in and gets a couple of paints or something for his models. And they're in and out. But the whole time he's there, the old guy is telling a story. It's hysterical about this hippie that comes into town, and he said, "Just take a little off the top." I cut his hair so goddamn. I love that bit. Anyway, there's this dog, and he runs across the road in front of them just as they get to the bridge that goes into the town, and they end up driving the car through the side of the bridge. And the dog is keeping the car in place just by standing on a 2x4 there. And of course, the dog steps off the 2x4. And when he does, they go down into the drink under the bridge. And they don't make it. Let's put it that way. And ironically, the dog stays there to watch them die and barks. So they go home. And the fireplace, the cuckoo clock is making noise. The fireplace starts up by itself. And when they get close to the fire to warm up because they're wet and soggy, Barbara's fingers catch fire. So they don't.
Not a good sign.
they don't think they made it. So Adam tries to run outside to see what's going on, and he finds himself on another planet. It's Mars, and there's sandworms. And Barbara pulls him back in and says, "You were gone for hours." And then she shows him in the mirror that they are casting no reflection, so they're ghosts. And this is confirmed by the fact that they have a book on the coffee table there that says the book of the recently deceased, which reads like stereo instructions. Very confusing. Not easy to follow. So meanwhile, downstairs in the netherworld, Beetlejuice is looking at the obituaries in the obituary paper there, and he's like, "Maitland's ooh la la, look nice and stupid too," which is one of my favorite lines in the movie. I actually bastardized it. I did some stuff backwards, but anyway. So they're up in the attic, doing their thing, and they hear a car drive up, and it's Jane Butterfield and their daughter. And of course, they can't see Barbara and Adam upstairs because they're ghosts. But what we do learn from this scene is that the house has been sold. Jane did sell it. So there's a big commotion next day, and or it could be a couple of days, I don't know. And the Dietzes move in. So that's Charles and Delia Dietz. And their daughter, played by Wynona Ryder, who was very young, this was her breakout role, is played by Wynona Ryder. And that's Lydia Dietz, I'm sorry. And then we meet Otho, played by Glenn Shaddix, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He unfortunately fell in his home, hit his head, and died. That's the story that I read anyway.
And that's what happened with Richard Simmons too. The same thing happened to Richard Simmons. It's very dangerous out there.
Did Richard Simmons die the same way? Did he?
Yeah, exactly the same way. Exactly the same way.
Because that's how William Holden died too.
It's a very common way of going. So that's the thing. When you're going into your bathroom or whatever, we probably gotta start wearing helmets.
You bang your head, nobody's going to be there to save you. So.
Well, you got to start wearing a helmet. I think I'm going to start wearing a helmet every time I go into my bathroom and no one's around.
So actually, I think William Holden and Glenn Shaddix were in the kitchen when they hit their head.
Well, then maybe we should just wear helmets everywhere because these head injuries are getting crazy. It's really, really, it's a tough world out there. Most accidents happen at home, by the way.
Now, Jeffrey Jones is playing Charles Dietz here, and he's best known for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's the Dean Rooney, the principal of the school in that movie. And unfortunately, they found out that he liked child porn. The actor did, and he's basically a pariah in Hollywood now. They won't have anything to do with the poor guy. The guy was just getting his fantasy freak on, and the police got involved. So ironically, here his wife is licking his nose. She's trying to tell him Otho's going to completely redo the house. And he's like, well, why don't you just leave this room alone, which is going to be Charles's private room. They decide they're going to be, Barbara and Adam decide they're going to try to scare him out as ghosts. So they go into the closet, and she's hung herself in the closet, and she rips her face off, and they don't even see it. So they push her aside like she's clothes, and Otho pulls out their wedding outfit. And he goes, "Ooh, look, Ozzy and Harriet. Ooh." And then she cuts Adam's head off, and they're in another room. And Otho and Delia go in there, and they don't see any of this. And again, Charles is like, "Okay, off limits. Okay, this one is for me. All right, stay out of here." And so they go to the rest of the house. They're going to check the attic. And Adam's like, "Oh my God, I forgot to lock the attic." And his body runs without his head upstairs, locks the door, rushes right past him on the stairs there and locks the door. So, I wonder what's in that attic. Well, maybe we'll find a key later. So Charles is making himself at home, and Barbara is beside herself. She's like, "They can't even see us. What the hell? How are we going to scare these people out of here? I hate this." So she runs outside to Mars and the sandworms, and Adam pulls her back in. and says, "No, we can't do it. We can't go this way. We have to stay in the house." And she's like, "Oh, Adam, this is terrible. We are in hell." Blah blah blah. You know, they're not happy. They're not happy with the new people that are living there. That night, they do a little takeout Chinese. Delia's like, "I kind of like the house the way it is," and Charles is like, "Yes." And Delia's like, "No. Otho's going to completely redo this house, and I'm going to put my art in here, and this is going to be great for me." And they're like,
And this Lydia character, the daughter, Wynona Ryder, you know, she's obsessed with death and she's like very gothic. She's very interested. Yeah, she's very, very interested in ghosts and the paranormal, and that's why she's dressed all in black and she kind of
Well,
like, you know.
she becomes more and more interested in it as the film progresses. Yes. But Adam and Barbara are listening, and they're not happy. They're going to have to leave with these nutcases. So the construction begins. A lot of people trying to set things up, and they're moving the sculpture around, Delia's sculptures, which are grotesque. And as they are looking out the window at all of this, they see a little newspaper clipping talking about Beetlejuice. Say the name 3 times and I'll come. And then Delia almost gets killed by one of her own sculptures. They drop on her. "I don't need to die like this." And while all this is going on, Lydia is taking some photographs of the house, and she sees Adam and Barbara in the window. And they see her see them. So they're like, "Oh, that little girl can see us." And then Jane Betterfield shows up. And Lydia's like, "Hey, what about the people that used to live here?" "Oh, yeah, that's the Maitlands. They were family, and it was terrible. Here's a card if you need anything." So Lydia decides, she gives her a skeleton key. That's right. She gives her a skeleton key to the house. And Lydia decides to go up to the attic and try to get into the attic with the skeleton key. And while that's going on, we see a TV commercial from Beetlejuice. "I'll do anything you want me to do. I'll eat it." You know, he does the little song there. "I'll choke on a dog." Woo!
He sounds identical to that. So the general is really amazing at his impressions. You've been doing some great work there. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Yep.
So
He's channeling.
Lydia tries to put the key in, but they take a knitting needle and pop it right back out. So Lydia gives up at this point. Sorry, Havoc. I cut you off.
No, never mind.
So they use the book, and Adam says, here it says, if we want to go to the other side and talk to somebody and ask some questions, we just draw a door on the wall or somewhere, and then knock 3 times, and then it'll open. And it does open. And Lydia's watching the green light come from under the door as they go walking into the netherworld, into the other side. But they leave the book. They throw the book on the table, and they go without the book. Now, Lydia tries to tell her dad the house is haunted, and the dad is like, "Can you just give me a break here? I'm trying to relax." Evidently, he's had a nervous breakdown, and that's why they bought this house, and they're out in the middle of nowhere. So they get to the other side, and there's all these people who have died these miserable deaths. And they're stuck there waiting to find out what's going to happen. And that's when we meet the receptionist, who's played by Patrice Martinez. And she's Miss, what does it say there? Miss Venezuela?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's kind of like hanging out at the DMV.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody's got to wait in line. Everybody takes a number of waits in line. And we find out that if you commit suicide, you end up being a social worker on the other side. So Lydia comes upstairs. She finally gets into the attic, and she sees the big model of the town, but there's no ghosts. Meanwhile, they're still downstairs. This is a hysterical scene for me. I just die. This guy with a cigarette, I'm trying to cut down. And we see what we later find out his name is Bob, the guy with the shrunken head. And checking
out Geena Davis there. Yeah.
And
You what? You like a little head?
Yeah. And there's all kinds of creepy people on the other side there waiting, and they finally get called by the receptionist, and she says, this is my problem that I had, so now that's why I work here. And there's a guy, yeah, who is he's a messenger, I guess you would call him. He's the guy that comes to the door and says, "All right, Maitland, party of two," and he's been flattened. He's obviously been run over by like a truck or something. It's coming up in a slide or two. There he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, there's no mirrors on their side. How do I look? And they're like, oh, you look good. He goes, I'm feeling a little flat, which is a great joke. I love that. And then he slides off. And evidently they like black light in the netherworld. And as they're traveling down a hallway to where they're supposed to meet with their caseworker, a window opens. The shade flaps up on it, and they look in and they see these poor souls just kind of floating ethereally there in nowhere. And a guy behind them who's like mopping up the floor, he comes up and says, that's death for the dead. Can we go back to that slide real quick? That's death for the dead. They've been exorcised. And that guy is actually in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He's in the diner scene where the Pee-wee says he was pulled in by Large Marge, and he's one of the truckers. So he made it into this film as well. When they get through the door that they're supposed to go through, the place looks really weird now, and it turns out that it's their home. They went back to home, and that's all Lydia's sculptures and redecorated, and it looks weird, really weird. And there's Juno, played by Sylvia Sidney. Juno's her caseworker. She's from Sicily. She obviously had her throat cut. That's how somebody cut. She must have cut her own throat because it's suicide. That means, she had to be a caseworker. So there it is. So she explains to them that, they have to read the manual. They have to get the deets out themselves if they want to get rid of them. They talk about Beetlejuice. She says, nope, don't bother. Don't even say his name because he's trouble. He's nothing but trouble. He used to be my assistant. And then he became a bio-exorcist. It means he tries to get people out of your house, that kind of thing. So it's just what the doctor ordered, but she says, don't do it because you'll regret it. He's nothing but trouble. So she kind of scolds them for doing silly parlor tricks, that people can't see. And she goes, get creative. You can get these people out of here, And then that's what she's telling them about. Don't use Beetlejuice. And then she disappears in a puff of smoke. Sylvia Sidney would go on to do Mars Attacks with Tim Burton. She's playing the grandmother.
Yep.
Did a lot of movies before she met Tim Burton. Here we see a fly coming close to the model there, and Beetlejuice holds up a Zagnite. Little nush. And he pulls the fly in. Help me, help me. Cute little scene.
Yeah.
But it sets up that Beetlejuice is there hanging out in their graveyard, which actually Juno says. I think I hear he's been sleazing around your graveyard. So Maxie Dean is somebody who used to do business with Charles Dietz. Dietz says, you got to come up here. You got to see, there's all this prime real estate here. You got to come and check it out. But Maxie is not sold. And Maxie is played by Robert Goulet. So the Maitlands decide they're going to put on sheets, death shrouds, and be ghosts in the old-fashioned way. And they are moaning and groaning, and they upset Charles, who's, Maxie hangs up on him, basically. But he's, he blames. And here's the thing. He thinks it's Lydia, but then who's the second ghost? Is it Delia?
Right. Yeah,
he says Lydia, but he doesn't mention the second ghost. He says, your mother's, as a matter of fact, he even says your mother's going to kill you for cutting up her designer sheets. So that's kind of a weird thing that he doesn't realize there's a second ghost there. Oh, Delia has a friend. So Lydia takes pictures of the ghosts and realizes there's no feet. So they're really ghosts.
And one of them's wearing glasses.
One of them is wearing glasses. What is that an homage to? Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy in glasses, and Michael Myers kills him, takes his glasses, puts it over the sheet, and comes in. Yeah. So okay. So so she knows they're ghosts, and she's like, hey, are you Night of the Living Dead in there? Are you oozing pus in there? When are you? And they pull their sheets off, and they're, a couple of nerds. And she's like, nah, you're just like regular people. How boring. And they're like, you can see us. How is it that you can see us? And she goes, well, most people, ignore the strange and unusual. And then again, there's me, and I'm strange and unusual, which is a good line.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make you cool with the teen world at that time, I can't remember if she did this one first or Heather's. I'm pretty sure she did this one first.
Yeah, this
and
is
then she
before
did
Heather's.
And Heather's really cemented that. That was it. She was it. And then she did Edward Scissorhands.
The it girl for a while. Yep.
Yeah. She was the teen girl. So she's looking at the model, which is impressive. And Adam and Barbara are talking to her, and they're getting acquainted. And they said, look, why don't you tell your parents, that we really are unhappy with you guys being here. And again, she tries to talk to Delia, and Delia is trying to prepare for a party they're going to do that night for her agent Bernard and Grace, his wife, and Otho's going to be there with a guest. That's what I'm going to call a guest. And she looks like a very troubled Asian woman. Delia's like, will you just let me have this night, please? Without these shenanigans, please. Don't talk about ghosts tonight, all right? So the graveyard starts lighting up. And Adam and Barbara are like, should we? And again, they know if they call his name 3 times, he's going to come. So they say his name 3 times, and they end up in the model. They shrink down in there, and they're in the model. And this is where they meet Beetlejuice. They have to dig at the bottom of a grave there. They have to dig up the cork board and the fake grass that they put down, and underneath is Beetlejuice's casket. And then he bursts out of the casket and flies over them.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's such a cool scene where he comes out of the ground.
That is his big entrance.
Yep.
He's wearing a tour guide hat and coat. And again, I mean, when this movie hit theaters, Michael Keaton had done a lot of fun comedies, but this thing was off the chain weird. So I can see how people were just crazy about this. So, and he's very repulsive, and he's always grabbing Barbara and trying to look up her skirt and stuff.
So that their expression is like, holy crap! What did we just do?
That's actually where he takes over, and he does the possesses her and makes her talk. Fool your friends, fun at parties. And then Adam says, well, can you be scary? Oh, can I be scary? Oh, wow. And he has the speech where he says he was like a graduate from Juilliard, and then he survived the Black Plague, and he had a pretty good time during that. And he's seen The Exorcist about 157 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time he sees it, which is a great speech.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think I'm qualified? Well, can you be scary? How about this? Wah! You like it? Then he has trouble keeping his head straight. And again, they've had it. They've had enough. So they walk away. They start to walk away, and he's like, "Hey, come on, we'll have some dinner together. I hope you like pasta."
And he's wearing the shirt. He's wearing the shirt there. He's wearing.
Yes, he's in Adam's shirt there with the red T-shirt underneath. Yes.
Yep.
Simpatico, come on. You sandworms. Hey, I hate sandworms too. Come on. So Barbara goes home, and they leave. And then Beetlejuice realizes it, and he kicks over their tree and is like, "Hey, nice freaking model." He doesn't say freaking. Grabs himself. Barp, barp. So at the party that night, Dick Cavett is playing Bernard, the agent for Delia's art. And he's lost a lot of money on the art, evidently. And the girl that Otho's brought with him, she's, I don't know, kind of neurotic and strange. And he's like, "Well, don't mind her. She's just upset because somebody dropped a house on her sister."
Oh my gosh. She kind of looks a little bit like, yeah. I thought, when I first saw this, I thought that was Shelley Winters. Shelley Duvall. Winters.
Sorry.
Shelley Duvall, but nope. And the little bow makes it look like she's got Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah, she got the scarf thing on her head. So yeah, Lydia mentions the ghosts, and Delia's like, "Shut up! Please don't do this, and don't ruin my party." And Dale, she starts singing, Dale, like Harry Belafonte. And then the whole table gets up and starts dancing. They're all possessed by the ghosts. This is Adam and Barbara in their attempt to get them to get scared and get the hell out of there. So they're all dancing the calypso, and then they sit back down in their chairs, and they have a shrimp cocktail in front of them. And the shrimp cocktail become hands and come out of the buckets and grab them by the face and push them back, and scares the hell out of them, supposedly. And yeah, it's a pretty impressive haunt scene. There it is.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Yep.
So Adam and Barbara go to the windows, like, okay, any second now they'll be running for their cars. Oh, this is gonna be great. And then nobody comes running for the car, and Lydia's there, and she's like, "Hey, I want you to come downstairs." And she comes back downstairs by herself, and they're all waiting. And she says, "They just don't want you to make them do stupid party tricks and stuff, So they're like, "Well, that's." Bernard actually takes that as his time to exit, and he's like, "Delia, you're a flake." He goes, "If you want to scare anybody, do it with your art." And he leaves. "I've consistently lost money on your art." So they go up to the attic. They can't get in. Actually, they do get in. Yeah, here we are. And that's when Charles and Otho see the model of the whole town. And then Otho sees the book for the recently deceased on the table, and he pockets it. Because, and we're wondering, hey, what happened to Adam and Barbara? Did they disappear? No, they're hanging out the window.
The thing about Otho that I love about Otho, and I love the way that Glenn acts the whole thing, because there's really like this arc and this character development where he starts off one way, but he actually gets a little bit more like authentic, and he gets a little deeper as we go forward, and you get to learn a little bit more about him and have some sympathy for him. He's more well-rounded as it goes forward, but he's also a lot of great comic relief, particularly in the beginning. I really like this character, and
he starts out interior decorator, but then you find out that he's kind of a get-rich-quick scheme kind of guy.
Exactly.
He actually did a thing with the paranormal, and he says until the bottom dropped out in whatever year.
Right, but he's kind of like comic relief, and then he's also like a surface character, and you're supposed to kind of not like him, but then you end up kind of getting endeared to him, and it's very interesting. He really executes it perfectly. Glenn is an amazing actor, and it's a role that like I didn't notice till like the 5th or 7th time I watched this training film, but eventually like you start to notice him after you've seen it several times, and you say, wow, this is like an impeccable this is a great role, and it's a great character.
He would go on to be in other Tim Burton movies. He was one of the orangutans in Planet of the Apes. He was also the mayor from Halloween Town in Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh, Jack. I'm just a voted official. I'm just a political official. I can't remember the line. Damn it. But the one with the spinning head. So they go out down the stairs and they meet up with the Beetlejuice snake. Beetlejuice has become a giant snake. And he terrorizes Otho and throws him down the stairs. And he looks up Delia's skirt. And he picks up Charles by his ankles. And there's Otho going down the stairs. And he's like, "We come for your daughter, Chuck." Throws him down to the first level. And just as he's going at Lydia, that's when Barbara and Adam show up, and Barbara says, "Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice" again, and it sends him back. So they have a fight, and Beetlejuice protects himself by putting spikes out from his body. "Go ahead, make my millennium." And then out of nowhere, a brothel shows up in the model. And she's like, "Adam, did you do that?" And he's like, "No, I didn't do that. Why would I do that?" Juno did it. Juno put a brothel there to keep Beetlejuice busy for a while. So she explains to them, "Okay, what are you going to do now to get the deets out?" What am I looking at here? Oh, this is Lydia when she comes down. She comes back to the attic the next day. It's the next day. She's written a suicide note. She wants to go to the other side. And she meets Beetlejuice, and he's like, "I'm the ghost with the most, babe." And she's like, "Well, I want to get in." He goes, "Why?" "I got to get out." So he tries to get her to say his name 3 times so he can come out again. And just as she's about to say it the 3rd time, she goes, "Wait a minute. No, you were that snake, weren't you?" Barbara and Adam have rearranged their faces to scare the Dietzes, but Barbara's like, "I don't want to go through with this. I want to be with Lydia." And unfortunately, it takes longer for Adam to get his face back in check. And they scare Lydia. But they convince Lydia that, hey, we can probably live in harmony. But just as they're saying that, they have to hide because Charles and Otho come in and they take the model. It's sectional. They start taking the model downstairs. There's another party. And this time it's Maxie Dean and his wife, Sarah. And they want to see ghosts because Sarah is really into the paranormal. So Charles makes his pitch. I can't remember if it's the phone call or here where he says that it's the fantastic Marcel Marceau talking statue. Which sounds so ridiculously bad. Anyway. But Otho shows that he has the book and it's going to be a fun, eventful evening. They're going to do a little seance. And then Lydia's like, "Oh my God." And she goes, "Oh, wait a minute. You can't even change a tire." But that's actually kind of a foreshadow that, yeah, things are going to go wrong. They're going to go south at the hands of Otho. What he's doing is he's doing the exorcism. And that's going to send them, death for the dead. That's going to send them into that void. And there's no way to stop it once you start it, supposedly. So, wow, this is we're actually going to go short tonight because this was a long, and we're already in the end. We're in the tail end of it. Anyway, okay. So he starts to say the incantation from the book, and Barbara disappears from upstairs, and she appears in her wedding clothes, her wedding dress downstairs, with a green light again. In the afterlife, afterworld, green light, green fluorescent light is the thing. Remember the black light down in the netherworld. So she appears and they can see her for now. And Glenn, there we go. They can see her and she's like, "Oh, wait a minute. They can see me. What's going on?" Otho continues the seance, the exorcism. And what he doesn't realize until it's too late is that she's starting to shrivel up. She's starting to dry out. She's looking wrinkled and haggard, and her hands look like they're all shriveled up. So something's going wrong. And there's her hand shrinking, and Lydia notices it, and she's like, "Hey, you're killing them." And Maxie Dean is like, "No, they're dead already. They can't feel a thing." That was one of his lines, and which is so cold and careless. I mean, wow. So
yeah.
So you hate Robert Goulet in this film. you just hate him. So and even now, Barbara is looking down on Lydia like she loves her. And then Adam disappears from upstairs. He can't grab the doorknob there, and he appears in his wedding tuxedo, old style wedding tuxedo with the ruffle on the shirt. And again, he lifts up to where they can see him. And again, Alec Baldwin, very handsome guy. So all the women at the table that are watching this, they're like, look who just came to town. But again, Barbara looks terrible now. She looks like a little monkey woman there. Yeah. And he's touching her face like, oh, what happened, dear? And we can't hear them, whatever they're saying.
Yeah. Well, now she really does look all Night of the Living Dead. So yeah, it's kind of a foreshadowing.
Yeah. So she looks like the figure they saw in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. The nose is all drawn in and the hollow eyes and cheekbones. So Lydia decides, I'm going over to the model. Maybe that Beetle guy character is there. He can help. So she goes over to the model. And Glenn is like, he's looking the pages back and forth. There's no way out of this. He's like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do now. So Otho messed up. I said Glenn, didn't I? Otho's messed up. So he can't stop it. He doesn't know how to stop it.
See, that's why you don't mess with stuff like that. Ouija boards and books of the dead. Yeah, you don't touch that stuff because it gets out of control real quick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video on social media where a girl was possessed when she was doing the Ouija board thing with her friends, and her friends completely and totally freaked out. So I don't know if it was a setup, or it was fake, or what, but it looked pretty damn real.
Yeah. See, we learned this. We learned this from Spookies.
Boy, it's a good thing I didn't take a sip when you said that.
There's a lot to learn from Spookies. Spookies really taught us a lot. But that's the thing, when we do these training films, when we analyze them, we're here to be the last defense and to really protect people. And so that's a really good thing to keep in mind. What Beetlejuice is teaching us is just let the sleeping dead lie. You know what I mean? Just leave them alone. Keep the Ouija board in the closet. Don't be messing around in realms you don't understand. Just, be a good person, leave it alone. There's no, you don't want to be introduced to Beetlejuice, okay? Don't mess around with this stuff.
There you go.
The only thing we learned from Spookies was not to watch Spookies. All right? It's a terrible training film.
We were the last defense against Spookies.
Oh, my God.
Or the first line of defense.
Everybody dies. Even the kids. I hated that movie. God, I hated that training film. I still do, obviously. So, all right. So she goes over to the model, and Beetlejuice is waiting for her. And he's in. Now, here's the thing. Beetlejuice changes his outfit to fit the mood of the scene. Okay. So he is in what looks like a prison, outfit, because he's a prisoner in the model, right? So that's why we see it at the end of this movie. In Beetlejuice, he's wearing that suit all the time. So anyway, I just think that's kind of weird that they were relegated to. Maybe the studio said, "Well, no, he's got to wear that stripe outfit." Come on, that everybody knows that outfit. It's Beetlejuice. I mean, here it makes sense, and he changes to a red tuxedo, and there he is. He's waiting on a little tombstone there. Go ahead, say my name. Come on. So she's like, you got to help them. And he goes, yeah, all right, well, you got to help me. And he says they got to get married. And one of his lines is, hey, you get to say you're married to the most eligible bachelor since Valentino came over. We're even. And that's the line, it's showtime, when she says, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And when that happens, the room begins to quake. Lightning begins to strike. And she has agreed to marry him, by the way. That's the whole thing here. He wants to get married to somebody human so he can come back to this world. The thing is, though, is he would be human. That would be boring. He wouldn't have any of his powers. So anyway, he comes out, welcome Kmart shoppers. And he's got that little thing going around his head.
Carousel from hell there.
Yeah. Let me see if I can remember the speech. Attention, Kmart shoppers. Well, I'm back, and I feel real good about myself. You know what I mean? And without further delay, welcome to Ritter Rivers Museum of Natural Green, a monument to the Better Business Bank. Come on a little closer, test your strength. I think I got it. I think I got all that.
That was pretty good. Yep.
And Robert Goulet, Maxie Dean, and his wife, they are totally fished in by it. And they get close, and his arms stretch out and become two giant hammers. And that's, I think, in the next slide, maybe the slide after. And yeah, they are just, I mean, look at that thing. You know, how would you not be, you know, totally fished in by that? So yeah, the arms become big hammers. What they don't realize is that there's two things building up behind them that are like where you hit down on the power grid kind of thing, and it makes the thing go up. And that's what happens here, except they're standing on the power thing, the grid. So it makes them go up through the roof. And the thing that makes that desensitizes death in Tim Burton films is he makes it look very unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
So the dummies you see go up through the roof look very fake. But that's how Tim Burton does it. And what's funny is that Delia and Charles are like, oh, wait a minute, because they can see what's going on around Maxie Dean and his wife. But it's too late. And they realize that, and they go, never mind. If you watch closely, you'll see that. Not here. But there it is. The hammers come down, they go up and through the roof. Next slide.
Yep.
Now look at those legs. Those don't look like real legs. Come on. So maybe they woke up outside in their car. I don't know. They're probably just dead. They're probably just squashed.
Well, they got that head trauma, just like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do we have here tonight, kids? That's why I won't do 2 shows a night, babe. I won't do it. I won't. When I watched this movie when I was younger, I memorized huge chunks of dialogue of this film. I loved it. Well, what do we got here? Oh, you got the Maitlands. Okay, they've had enough exercise for tonight. Boom. They fall down on the table, falling apart, actually. They're like cadavers. Next slide. And then we have probably my favorite part of the scene, which is when Otho tries to escape. And Beetlejuice jumps on him and says, "Not so fast, brown boy. We're going to have some laughs." And I believe it's the next. Yeah, there we go. Give him a little kiss. And as Otho is trying to escape, Delia actually says, "Otho, like, what the hell are you doing?" "I'm running. What the hell do you think I'm doing?" And when he shoots Otho with his finger, Otho's clothes rip off, revealing a horrible leisure suit underneath which is, I mean, what can you think is probably the most horrifying thing for Otho is to look like this. So.
Yeah, he would have been hot in the 70s, but. Yeah, that's pretty awful.
He's yelling louder than Dr. Smith on Lost in Space.
Oh, the pain, William, the pain.
Oh, the pain. And Mom, Dad, Beetlejuice goes up to the Dietzes and he goes, hey, I'm going to need witnesses. He says the dowry's on me, Dad. He puts a bunch of snakes in his hand. That's one thing he does here. Then he walks a few steps away and he says, okay, I think I got everything in line. And he turns around and he's in a red tuxedo. And Delia's in a red wedding dress. Now, in Asia, especially in China, a red wedding dress, try to say that 5 times fast, that's actually good luck. A lot of brides wear red wedding dresses in China.
Yep.
It's considered good luck. So she slides on over. He slides her over to him. And a preacher appears, and he's this little troll-like tree preacher. Adam tries to say Beetlejuice, but his jaw comes off. And he has to grab it and put it back on. What is in that top right slide there?
Oh, it's Delia. She gets trapped in one of her sculptures.
Oh, that's right. It's because the lightning is striking. That's why it's throwing me off. Yeah, her artwork enslaves her and Charles so that they have to be witnesses here.
Yeah.
Mom, Dad. So there's where the preacher appears. The preacher's there, and it turns out that Lydia tries to say his name, and he silences her and speaks for her. Ooh, I love that man of mine. You asked me, I'm telling you. Ooh, I love that man of mine. And then Adam, who has gotten a lot better, he tries to say Beetlejuice again, and Beetlejuice makes his teeth come out. And the teeth try to say it again, and they have this little dance number where he's trying to step on the teeth, which is funny. So he zaps Adam into the model. So he was in the model now. And then Barbara tries to say it, and we get the Michael Keaton that great reaction shot. I guess Lydia still can't talk, and so he puts a zipper on her mouth, and then a metal plate because she opens the zipper. Beetlejuice, blink, and then he sends her to Mars. He sends her outside with the sandworms. So he pulls out a finger that's got for the ring. There's a finger on the ring on the finger. And he says, I swear to you, she meant nothing to me. Now, I will tell you, in Beetlejuice, his wife comes back from the dead. And she's missing her ring finger. So it's kind of a nod to this line. And she's like, ugh. Adam gets into the truck and drives off the model table onto the floor there and heads right for Beetlejuice's foot. And hits Beetlejuice on the foot. Bam! Ah! And just as that truck explodes for no apparent reason, it must be very flammable, Barbara comes through the ceiling on a sandworm. And it eats Beetlejuice. She manages to jump off. Adam manages to become normal size again. I guess they got their powers finally. They have Beetlejuice-like powers now. They can manipulate as good as he can. And we got a nice reaction shot from Jeffrey Jones there. The police are at the front door. Sorry. I know I shouldn't have gone there. Barbara takes him out. The sandworm goes through the floor down into the netherworld with Beetlejuice in its mouth. Barbara jumps off. Adam is there. The Dietzes are there. Somehow they got out of the. I don't know how Charles Dietz got out of that. The ropes all around him from the thing, but there it is.
Well, once Beetlejuice got taken out, all this
okay,
whatever
that
spell.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Yeah. His powers. That's what it is. Beetlejuice's powers are over once he's dead again. So that means Adam goes back to normal size. The Dietzes are free. Okay, all right, that makes total sense. I'll buy that. So the Dietzes they finally get their first, sight of the Maitlands, and the Maitlands, smile at the Dietzes, showing that, hey, we can live together, we can coincide. Yeah. And then the priest disappears. And a puff of blaze, quick blast of fire, poof. Then we get Lydia. I always want to say Delia when I mean Lydia, and vice versa. I don't know why. She's riding her bike home from the girls' school. She tells them that she did well on her test, and she goes, "So can I?" And but she did get a C on her something, one of her tests, one of her things. But he lets her do her dance, her ghost dance, at the end of this film. So she's levitated. And she's dancing, and the music's playing, and it's shake, 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 Sonora. Again, the Maitlands must like Harry Belafonte.
Yep, they're fans
because they're always playing his music. Delia scares Charles with her new art, which looks like the beetle snake, and she's like, he likes it. And we find Beetlejuice downstairs waiting his turn in line. And he's between Bob and the guy, the native, who probably sprinkled Bob's head to make it small like that. And Beetlejuice swaps tickets out with the native, and it pisses him off, and he sprinkles the dust on Beetlejuice's head, and Beetlejuice has a small, tiny head. At least until the next movie, Beetlejuice, which is 30 years later. Then he's got a normal-sized head again. Hey, this might be a good look for me. And then the football team shows up on the stairs behind Lydia for the jump in the line. Rock your body on time. Oh, yes, I believe you. Jump in the line. Rock your body on time. Rock your body, child. So there it is. If I didn't say Catherine O'Hara's name during this, she played Delia. I really should have, because she is comedy gold. Catherine O'Hara is extremely funny in this. She's also extremely funny in Beetlejuice. As a matter of fact, she pretty much steals every scene she's in Beetlejuice. Just a wonderful comedic actress.
Yeah. She kind of had a I guess you call it a comeback with what's that show? The Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek, yeah, where she does with Eugene Levy. She was actually the movies like the Mighty Wind and she's Second City. Her and Eugene.
Yeah,
Eugene Levitt's Christopher Guest films. Yeah, Eugene Levitt's and her started out in Second City,
right?
With Rick Moranis and Dave
John
Thomas,
Candy,
Flaherty, John Candy. Yeah. So anytime I think of Catherine O'Hara, I think of Second City and all the stuff she did on that.
Oh yeah.
And she plays the psychotic ice cream salesman in After Dark, which is a really, really funny dark comedy. Griffin Dunn. And again, she plays the crazed, psychotic ice cream salesman chick in our ice cream truck, chasing after him. Anyway, just a very funny actress, and deserves more kudos than she gets. Next week on the show, we are in Halloween month, so that's why I did Beetlejuice this month. Because Beetlejuice is still out. Next week, 2 movies, a double feature. We're doing Dracula's Daughter and Son of Dracula. So we're doing the Dracula's Kids show next week. So stay tuned for that. I believe Roland Pruitt's Kaiju review is going to do Rodan next Tuesday. So tune in for that if you're free and available Tuesday at 7 p.m. And you got Professor Walnut. Go figure. And Anastasia on that show.
Anastasia, not Titania. Anastasia.
Yes, not Titania. That's a character in something else, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a whole other character. Yep.
Okay. Hazzard, are you there?
I'm here, and I'm just saying hi to Julie because our cadet Liniki is here. She's been watching the whole time, and we salute you, Julie, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much,
Julie.
Oh, and them two guys and that pretty little gal, they're doing werewolves on Monday.
That's right. They're doing werewolf movies. I'm going to tune in for that one because you know me and werewolf movies. I love them.
Oh yeah.
Well, alrighty then. Maybe they should call Alan Hobbs. He's the werewolf guy, although he's probably pretty busy this month.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, Dracula's Daughter and Son of Dracula next week, and of course werewolf movies on Monday. So a whole bunch of fun stuff next week. Rodan on Tuesday, Dracula stuff on Thursday. Good God, what a week. What a great Halloween week on Cosmos Creative TV. Until then, keep an eye out for those big monsters and small.
This here's Master Sergeant Havoc. Thank you for watching this episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. Now, why don't you go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell next time a big old giant monster comes calling. See y'all later.